Before I start recording for the XO content, I wanted to come on here a little bit more candidly, I guess, more personal. Um, you know, it's a trick. It's been tricky recently. Um, I'm just gonna come out right out and say it. But for a blip, a small second there, I didn't know how much longer I thought that I could do this channel. Um, if I'm being real, I felt like that I lost a lot of enthusiasm after Dreamcatcher broke up. Um, and at the time, it was a lot more, I would say, unknown of what it was going to be like. And the thing that was so weird is that when the post dropped about the members not re-signing, I felt a lot of my enthusiasm leave. And I think it's just because, like, so many times whenever I get into anything, something like this happens. And there was a long period where I felt like I was not feeling quite as up to my usual enthusiastic standards because of that. And I mean, the crazy thing is my listening time for music dropped by like thousands of minutes. And I didn't know exactly if that feeling was ever going to come back. And the interesting thing is that at that point I had already pre-ordered the album for UAU or UIU, and I didn't even know if I was going to be excited for it. It just sucked at the time because it just felt so like it was the end. And so I kind of felt like, well, if I'm going to get into these groups and then they're going to break up, what's the point, you know? Like that. This is exactly why I just try not to have like any favorites, because something like this could eventually happen and then you feel demotivated. And that really almost took me. And the funny thing is after they even after they broke up, I got this, which is the mini catcher for Dami. And it was kind of around that time that I was just like, what am I even gonna do? I didn't know if I even wanted to like keep the collection. I didn't know what I wanted to do for real. But then the album actually came. And the interesting thing is that I felt like that once I started seeing like all the performances and live videos and everything like that, it really kind of started coming back. And I felt like the one thing that ended up being really big for me was seeing how many times the other girls from Dreamcatcher have shown up to their concerts and even did like the emceeing for like shows and variety shows as well. And I had my friend who I got her back into K-pop, and then she was showing me all the stuff that she had been listening to for Dreamcatcher, and she had actually surpassed me in time listened to of Dreamcatcher at that time. And I was just like, wow, I must not be in the same position that I thought I was. So the funny thing is that the critical time came when I was at work, and I had a lot of podcasts that I was trying to catch up to, and all of them were awful. So I was just like, I'm going to start from the beginning of Dreamcatcher and just see what happens. And the interesting thing is at that point, I just realized that, yeah, I really do just really like the music. And it doesn't matter if the group is still together, because what's more important is music over just a fandom for me. And that night I went through half of their discography, maybe even more. And I don't know, the spark kind of felt like it came back in wanting to continue. There was a time where it really just kind of, I was hoping that the spark would come back by doing the channel, and it came off camera. And so before we start doing the EXO content, I guess again, Dreamcatcher always comes to save the day for me. And yeah, that was a little bit of an interesting situation there. I was not expecting to feel like that I was going to have such a rough time refinding the spark, but here we are. And you know, the interesting thing is since then I've gotten some really crazy ideas. So I feel like I'm back, and I feel like that things are returning to how I used to be, and that's a good thing. It's a good reminder that it's more about the music than it is about collecting albums, or you know, being a Insomnia or a Mitzi. It's about the music, and that's what it's always been. And this is a good reminder of that. So I guess, like I said, Dreamcatcher always seems to come through for me, even in weird ways. Anyway, let's get on with the EXO content, shall we?